I say yes too. Greetings, friends. Welcome to season 2 of Free Range Thinking. Join us in our cozy recording caves and dive into some interesting topics and rabbit holes around the topic of neurodiversity with us. That's Alex Carl, that's me, and
I'm Sharon Lee. And welcome. I'm opening my document. Every week, we serve up a delicious buffet of neurodivergent topics, discussions, questions, and explorations. And like today, tools around the subject of living as a neurodivergent human. We enjoy talking about and celebrating how people like us can not only thrive in today's world, but prosper, because the world desperately needs neurodivergent humans to bring real transformation and evolution to mankind.
because we are the keys through the shitstorm of a one-size-fits-all world. And that is no joke.
That is no joke, my friends.
Starting with 2023, we are going to publish 2 episodes a week. So one on Tuesdays, that's the one you are listening right now, a freshly recorded one. And the second episode will be launched on weekends that are unpublished conversations between Sharon and me and some guests from 2022. Since I am really struggling with a consistent publishing rhythm back then. And now, as we talked about in the first episode of this season and the year 2023, I am managing to reduce friction. And so it looks like it's working out quite well.
Cool.
And we are using tools for that. And so we spontaneously decided that we do our tools episode a bit earlier. Maybe we do another one in several weeks. But
I'd say it's going to be ongoing tools episodes, because I mean, like, there's always something new.
Yeah.
And I was starting off by saying Alex sent me a link to these 2 guys.
Jesse Driftwood and Levi Allen, 2 YouTubers.
When they say we make stuff or something, I forget the name of it. Excuse me, guys, if you're listening to this, I do apologize.
Make good stuff.
And then there was a
podcast.
Make good stuff. Well, it's funny because it says make stuff or make good stuff, and then it's like, or we make stuff, and then it doesn't have the word good in it in the thing. And so the one guy was saying, is it make stuff or good, or like what's the level on good? Who's to say what's good or not? And so I like that. I'm on his line of thinking. Just make stuff. My God, let's just make stuff. Make anything is what he said, and I really like that. I'm on board with that. Yeah. But they were, speaking about the episode that I listened to was the one about, how do we, are we wearing ourselves out trying to, find the tool that works for us? And he brought up the one thing of getting an organizer or an organizer. And he said, it's great for 2 weeks, and then you leave it to the side. Yeah. And so there's a lot of judgment on ourselves that it's like, well, that didn't work. Another thing I can't work with. Yeah. And, all of us really share this frustration trying to use these tools that are sort of created. And not all neurodivergents, a lot of people can use it, but it's not. There's so many tools out there that are the one size fits all. And, acknowledging the frustration, but not, taking it personally on ourselves, and definitely being gentle and not doing the self-punishment. Super important, because stuff isn't going to work, but also knowing when to let it go and go, you know what, doesn't work. But that's a fine line, because it's like, what, are we giving up too early? What if we did keep on with it, But I liked what he said. It's like, okay, it works for now, so milk the hell out of it while it's working. And then as soon as it stops working, set it aside. I got many notebooks like that and things like that I had set aside. And I do pick them up every once in a while and reuse them. So I liked his idea about that, very much so, because it's kind of, it sounds a little bit like a how I do it. And but they had a lot of good information on that one, and they're fun to listen to. They're cool. I was wondering, I think from Canada, or the one guy, he must be from Canada because he was like
Jesse. I think Jesse is from Canada, and Levi is from, I think, the Pacific Northwest, the area around there.
I was like, we have a Canadian in the house, and when I was listening to it. But they're both so cool.
The Canadians, I mean, they're all from this, I think Jesse as well, from this Toronto area, where Peter McKinnon and, I mean, Matti Hopuja is also from the Toronto area, but you are still hearing his Finnish accent sometimes in there, because he's originally from Finland, or his parents. But I mean, what he said, this being gentle on yourself, and I don't know. For me, it's like that. Since I can think of using digital, especially digital tools, because I allowed myself quite early to quit a tool when it's not working for me, because I think the tool has to work for me and not I have to work for the tool.
Right.
And, with computers and digital tools getting better and cheaper, especially cheaper, you can be, I mean, the whole thing of agile and agile mindsets, or agile processes, or agile working comes from software development, because software development is much cheaper than developing a whole factory of like steel producing stuff, where you have a lot of machines and resources. When you are working with software or digital tools, you need brains, and you need time, and you need some computers, but you even don't need money if you're doing it on your spare time, or just for fun, or when you're doing it for yourself. So it's much easier to be agile and to throw things out and say, nah, that's not working, we try something else. Because when you are building a full factory full of machines for like $50 million, and then you say, nah, that's not working, let's get another one, that's not possible. So for me, it's the idea of constant reinventing myself, or reinventing the way I'm working, and let it evolve, and throw things out here, add new things there. And there are so many new tools and new ways of working that are developed, or that are coming up again. Like it's funny, the whole Zettelkasten thing is got a lot of traction in the last year, because this one guy, Scott Shepard in San Diego, I think, and another guy, or two guys, Sasha and Christian, here in my hometown. Sasha and Christian are developing a digital Zettelkasten app since years. And they
and describe again what Zettelkasten is for those of us.
I wanted to come to that in a minute, because there's a fun twist to that as well. It's an organization of ideas and how you can organize your own mind. And I explained in a minute. The Scott Shepard guide, he used his spare time, or his time from getting rich from a crypto company, or getting some money on the side, and had the time to work on it for 1 or 2 years. He developed the system and forged this evolution of the Zettelkasten method on paper. So he just released a book about how you build your own thinking system on paper, on index card, and organize it in these boxes. that help you think, that help you communicate with your own thoughts through the Zettelkasten. And the idea, and that's the funny part, the idea especially of the Zettelkasten comes from a German sociologist. His name was Niklas Luhmann, and he was working and teaching here in Bielefeld at our university. And the original, the two original, it's a homeboy, and the two original Zettelkastens are here in the Bielefeld University as well. So why it's so interesting. I mean, a lot of other intellectuals, authors, thinkers used a method like this with index cards. Nowadays, those guys, Ryan Holiday, for example, and Robert Greene.
Yes.
They use a kind of Zettelkasten as well, but they use them for every project. For every new book they are developing, or every new book they are writing, they are starting a new box, a new Kasten. And the idea of a Zettelkasten is that you write down every thought, every idea you have on an index card, and then you link it to several other cards, so that you the description I come about much often is you order it in a way so that your future self, how you want your future self to explore it again.
How you can find the information. Because I have, it's actually because of Ryan Holiday that I started that. So I have like 4 boxes, and there's a handful of cards in each box. Never got farther than that. Yeah. And I really, really want to. And I've got packs of unopened cards ready to go with all this information that's in my head. And I can't seem to use it. This is one of these things, and I'm just like, but it's like I've got the things in notebooks, I've got some things online, but this is my thing of how do I get it from my head and in other places and get it into the box without like shutting everything down for a month and only concentrating on that.
That's the thing. I started Zettelkasten, my own one, in April. I worked on it for 3 months, from April to June. After the idea came up after I had COVID, and in the time I had COVID, and after that I eased into work really slowly, so I had the time. And it was really fun to work with some physical objects and with those cards. The thing is, it took me too much time, so it was more standing in. It got more in the way than it was helping. Yeah. Because with the tool Obsidian, like the digital version of a Zettelkasten, I'm much quicker, I can do much more other things, and I'm living much more in this system. And I totally can understand other people who like to do it on paper, but paper is just too slow for me. I like it.
Okay, you have to turn me onto that and give me the link to that, because like I said, I'll try anything, trying to get control and some kind of organization. Yeah, and that's my notes.
That's what I meant with the evolving. Starting with 2023, I started adding another layer, so to say, with another little app called Drafts, which a lot of people are using. And Drafts is you can put in notes there, and you can type in notes there, which sounds really easy. But Drafts runs on my Apple Watch, on my phone, on my computer. And the interesting thing of Drafts is that it's super quick. It's quicker. It started quicker than Apple Notes, for example. And the whole point of Drafts is that you can build actions and workflows to sort everything you put in drafts, like quick notes and quick thoughts. And after that, you can really easily send them to, okay, this goes into email, this goes into my Obsidian Zettelkasten, this goes into a to-do list, this goes there. And it reduces the friction of organizing all your thoughts you had in a day.
Wow. I'm curious about that. You have to send me the link to that. Yeah. And it's also that thing that, that that is a thing, is that if we're always on the lookout for, something that actually works for us, it's like the amount of time, the uphill learning, the learning curve on this stuff, and then just to then lay it aside. It's like how much time in our lives, I don't want to say wasted, because we know a lot, we've experienced a lot with that, and we can give great reviews about it, about these things. But yeah, it can be very frustrating and it's tiring, to find out, I can't use that one. It's like, shoot, I could have been spending the time doing something else instead of learning how to use this one particular thing. One of which is the, hold on, let me look at my thing here. Evernote. Evernote, when it came out, was like the end-all be-all for like writers and editors and creators and stuff like that. I can't work with it. And some people say, God, it's great, I love it. And then other people say, when I'm definitely in that category, it's like, nope, can't do it. I've tried. And in different parts, I think, maybe they've evolved, and it's like, it's so overly complicated. I mean, I could see why it's useful, but for some of us, it's just so overly complicated.
There are,
but the amount of time trying to see if I can use it, my God,
Yeah, and there are. I am aware of 3 different types of let's say, knowledge workers, or 3 different types of users of those apps that describe it quite well. So Evernote, that's how I remember it. Maybe I don't get it exactly right, but the notion. Evernote is for the librarians, people that would like to archive things, thoughts, notes.
Oh, there's a lot of writers that use it.
Yeah, but there are also
they are
different,
archiving. It's great for archiving.
And there are different types of writers. No, there are the outliners. There are the conceptual writers. There are the intuitive writers that just start writing and see the text evolving. So Evernote is for the librarians. Then you have the people that use Notion. That's for the architects, like the information architects that like to build a structure. They start with the structure of information and then they put the information in. And then you have people who like to use things like Obsidian or Roam Research. Those are more the gardeners that are really organically. They are a mixture. They try to build a structure. They just intuitively write the content, and then from the content they start to archive it or order it like a librarian.
Okay.
So those are the in air quotes, the different categories of how you can approach your own personal knowledgement systems.
Interesting. I like how you explain it, the differences. I've tried Notion. I've got to get back into it. I don't know why I stopped using it. I don't remember, to be honest. And
I can tell you why I stopped using Notion.
Why?
I stopped using Notion because I came across Obsidian, and Obsidian is so open, and so you can build Obsidian totally like you want. And there are like 800 plugins now for it, so that you can alter it the way you want as well through the last 3 years. And as of today, you can build something like Notion if you want to in it as well, where you have really structured data and like data tables and all that stuff. And Notion was always too structured for me. The possibilities to structure things were always stand in my way because I thought I have to structure it. And Obsidian is just an empty page. I can puke everything on it I want to, and then I start working with it, and then I start linking the files.
Like when I'm really happy to hear you. That's a great description. I really like that, and I appreciate it. So I will definitely look into Obsidian. If you can, definitely share the links.
Yeah, I
definitely in the show notes, but definitely send it to me. Yeah, soon.
maybe I show you. Maybe I show you around in it. There is also a little learning curve. So I think I would show you around in it. For example,
okay, we could schedule. We should totally schedule to do that. I'm totally up for that. Thank you. That's a great idea. That's a really.
We can do the following. We could do the following. We start you download it. You download the app, and then you start your own vault. So your whole system in it.
Okay.
Is called.
What did you say? A vault?
A vault. A vault.
Oh, I love the word. I love the word. Okay, I'm in.
It's VAULT, right? Vault.
Yeah. Like a bank vault.
Yeah, right.
Okay, I'm in. Just with that, because like as a wordsmith, I'm just like yes. That's what I like. I have to keep my writings are sacred. Yes, I need them in a vault. I'm in.
Yeah,
I'm sold.
And we start.
My bullshit. My files of bullshit need a vault.
Yes.
So they can't like zombies that attack. Don't let or like gremlins. Don't feed them water.
Yeah,
don't get water
that's
on
the
them.
other thing. It's like everything you do in it is totally zombie proof because everything you do in it stays on your computer where you want. You can put it in the cloud, but you don't need to put it in the cloud. It can also just stay on your computer. And it's just plain text files. So even if tomorrow Obsidian would totally vanish, you could still work with you have done. And that is something you couldn't do with Notion, for example.
Oh, I like.
If Notion, If Notion goes away tomorrow, then you can't do anything with it anymore.
Yeah. Zombie proof. Like it. I like it. No. There's just from what you've said so far, I could see forcing myself to put up with other stuff because of that. Yeah. But I like the blank page that you just
It gives you the maximum freedom from all apps, from all apps and all things I tried in the last 20 years. It gives you the maximum freedom. It starts with the minimum of possibilities, so that you can gradually build up on that. So it's not. It's starting under complex, and you build the complexity yourself from over the weeks and months. And
I like it. I'm curious.
One of the I think according to all tools, not only to this digital organization knowledge, whatever tools, creating stuff, there is no magical one. There's no silver bullet. There's no magical tool that suddenly solves all your problems or solves all your tasks.
Well, no, because that's what some people want to do with one size fits all. This is it. And it's like, no, it's not.
Yeah. Yeah. And that I mean, that is something I always look for. I always look for this easy silver bullet tool, and that's why I switched so often. And I mean, I'm sticking to Obsidian now for 2.5 years, and I stick to Evernote for 9 years, and I had like 10,000 notes in Evernote, but I wasn't productive with it.
Okay.
So
he said, Mr. 10,000 notes on the thing. Well, I wasn't productive.
Yeah, but it was.
Sorry, I got to tease you about that.
not that productive as I would like to have.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I collected a lot, but I didn't do a lot with that, what I collected.
Do anything. Okay.
In Obsidian, it's like I come across an idea, I write down the idea, then I link the idea to our next show, then I take over the idea into our next show, but also I talk with another person about another topic, and then I find out, I wrote something into our next show notes with Sharon, so I take a look at that, and then I can link my conversation to the other person, to the show notes, and to the concept we were talking about. You know what I mean? And so it's
right. Yeah.
There's an evolving
I have
network.
To look into it.
Oh, I started writing down things I remember from my childhood, for example. I have one note where I write down everything I remember that crosses my mind, that I do remember from my childhood, and I write it down so that I have a personal history of myself, because otherwise I'm going to forget it again. And so every now and then I look into my note with all those bits of memories I have to my childhood, and then something new comes up, and so someday I can give
it sparks
my daughter
more memory.
the whole file, for example, or I can give her the whole world and say,
so cool.
Okay, that's something I thought about the last 20, 30
about
years.
Daddy. Yeah, that's so cool. That's really cool. So the other tool I wanted to talk about today is the the ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And how I waited a little bit, and because I of course, having ADD, and I thought, okay, is this right now at this phase where I'm trying to get certain kind of some things done, and it was like, is it a good idea for me to put my little tentacles in there, and this could be a total time suck, and so I put a parameter on it, and I said, okay, I have a couple projects, and I'm going to see what it'll do within the construct of these projects, and see how it can help me. And I have to say, it's like really cool. And the one of it is just a proposal. I'm not going to go into detail, but it's a proposal, and so I put in, and it's also, learning about how to ask the right kinds of questions and how to give it the right kinds of prompts.
Yes.
And so I allow myself to do the work, the targeted work thing, which I'll explain more about. But then I get to ask one fun question when I'm done. So this is what my the governor, like on the speed limit on a car, the governor, which it only lets you go over a lot of delivery vehicles have that, so you can't go over a certain speed limit. So that's my self-proposed thing on it. I can't just go off and go like, oh, I'm gonna ask it a bunch of fun questions. Like, no, I'm not responsible enough to do that, and like without killing days. And so I get to ask one fun question at the end. Or something that, of course, as I'm working with it, and a bunch of questions come up, so I just jot them down on a notepad. And so my experience so far, because it's not deep, it's only, I would say, a half hour 3 times. That's it. That's all I've done. But what I got out of it is so rich that I have something to work with. And so that's the deal, is that I'm working with it. I don't need to go back into using it unless I want to go, oh, but maybe I can look at this perspective, and I'll ask it again. So that I allow myself to do around these particular projects with the proposal. So it's like the being specific is, and again, I'm on the learning curve of that, of how to best work with it. It's really useful for me personally, because when I'm thinking of something, or when I'm trying to come up with something with, both the ADD and with my personality type, where I like things over-ended and as open-ended and as many possibilities that I can get, and so trying to rein that in sometimes is, it's a plus and a minus. I come out with some amazing shit that other people just don't think about. But at the same time, I can kind of get lost in it when I'm trying to produce, or if I have a deadline. And so this proposal I want to have done in the next couple days. And so what the questions that I put in to the ChatGPT was like, okay, give me an outline, a quick draft kind of a thing for a proposal. Quick. This is how I started. Just quick, very, very short, with these parameters for this particular client thing. This is kind of how I want it to sound. I want this open-ended, and I want, to deliver this. So what would that look like? I know I'm being very vague because I don't want to say anything about it. Later on, I maybe we can, but not at this point. And I was delighted with what I got back, because it was short, which I probably would not have made it that short. Pontification is an art form for me, and I go like, no, it's important. I have to have these other things in it, So it's like, I like how it gave me something short. It's what I asked for, and it had things, in a numbered order. And I'm looking at it right now, because that was yours. So, I don't think it. Anyway, so the thing that struck me the most is that it put something on the table in a concrete form that I could look at, and I'm never going to use it in the form that it gives me. That to me is completely uninteresting, because it's common. It's common, right? And I can see instantly where my stuff is different.
Yes.
And what I have in my head is different. And then I can go, okay, but I can keep the format of what they gave, of what it gives, what it gave me. And then so I don't forget it, so I can expand on it, and it's totally my own. It's nothing but, I don't want to say a template, because it's not that, because there's huge chunks of it I'm not using at all. I mean, huge chunks in a short thing. I mean, that doesn't sound right, but I know what I'm talking about. But I want to say, thoughts or concepts that I'm putting into this thing. And so then as I'm working on it, then it's like other ideas or other questions come up. And so I add to it. And what's great about the ChatGPT is that I can say, it keeps track of your conversation, which just is like astounding, and say, okay, I like that answer. Now, how about if you give it to me in this way? Or how about if you expand on that and put the whole thing together? Or remove this? Or what about this? And it'll like redo it, kind of. Or it'll show you, like whatever you ask. So it's like a thinking partner, my God. And the usefulness of this is blowing my mind. And I haven't even tapped into it. I'm just experiencing it. And so it's kind of cool to have on record my first experiences with it, and to see how I'm able to evolve with it as a dance partner and as a thought provoker, because this is the benefit for me personally, is that it's a almost like a thought ping pong partner that helps me get my shit in alignment so fast. It has nothing to do with writing. It has nothing to do with using the text that it puts out there. It's literally a mirror of what I'm thinking, if that makes any sense. And to see it come out and go, holy shit, this can cut out 3 days of work if I do use it like this. It's a little bit mind blowing to find. It's like using a calculator. It's like finally having a calculator for thinking.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
I guess.
I mean, the one thing is that I love ChatGPT for like contract work, for like, okay, you have to write an article about this topic where normally I have to spend 1 or 2 hours of research to get into the groove, to get into the topic. I just ask 2 or 3 questions to ChatGPT, and it delivers me like a distillate of the most important things or the most common things around the topic. So that gets me to speed much quicker when I have or want to write about something. And on the other side, it's like I like to call ChatGPT as well, like Captain Obvious.
Yes,
because especially when we are talking about neurodiversity, I think that if you don't give it other instructions, then the answer that ChatGPT gives you is quite a bit of the neurotypical answer. So it's easy to add all the neurodivergent things you're struggling with, or you have your own thoughts about, and so, or your own experience about, to it. So you really quickly get a neurotypical centered answer. And then you also can say to ChatGPT, okay, answer this question like you are a mechanic. Answer this question like you are a professor. Answer this question like you are Yoda. And it will.
And that I haven't played around with at all. That would be more fun. Because, answering it in the voice of something, I think it's interesting.
No. It's Yoda is fun. Yoda is almost just fun. But if you say answer this like a car mechanic, or answer this like a literature professor, you get a you get a completely other tone, and it even sets the points of interest in a topic differently.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, why would I want to sound like...
Because a car mechanic thinks of a topic in another way than a literature professor would like to.
Right. Okay.
And it emulates that. For me, it emulates that quite good. And I use it, for example, when I write for a special target group. When I know I write for like 30 to 50-year-old white men that are interested in technical things, then I would use the write this or answer this like a car mechanic, because then there are nuances that come out there that I didn't think of, that might be interesting for those people. But
aren't you changing? If we do that, see, it opens up so many questions, which I don't want to get off track on this, but I do have to ask this question. Aren't we changing like how we communicate and who we really are, if we take that and put it in that vernacular and then, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what I mean. I know what you mean. I don't use it to change
your voice?
To change my voice or change how I communicate. I like to find out how I can communicate better to reach the people I want to reach, because it's not about, in those cases, it's not about me. It's about, I'm just a catalyst. I'm just there to connect a topic to a specific group of people, and to do that better. You, in one sense, you are right, because I try to get my style of communication, or or the things that I might forget. I try to get those out of the equation. and add as much nuances or as much possibilities to it as I like.
I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try that on my fun questions, my thing, and see what I come up with.
And I mean, I'm still the one who writes the text. I'm not going full copy paste on the answers of ChatGPT. I use them as an inspiration. I use them as talking points. I use them as an outline, but I don't use them directly as copy. And I use ChatGPT always in English because I still think the results are much better in English because there's nothing that much that can get lost in translation. And if I'm really lazy, then I use the answers of ChatGPT, let them be translated by DeepL, and then use the German version that DeepL spits out, and use that as a starting point to write a German text, for example.
Yeah, oh, that's funny.
And it adds a little bit of a variety to it as well.
Yeah. No, I do find it fascinating, the different tools, for neurodivergence. It's like what do we have at our fingertips now? And I find this to be something like an immensely useful tool for, for example, dyslexics, people with ADD, and I'm really curious to see, and please, anybody listening, all three of you listening, write us a note and let us know, what's happening as you're playing with these things. I think we're in an era that's very exciting. Again, that thing of leveling the playing field, and I don't mean in a thing of copy pasting, plagiarizing. I think, but it's like allowing things, tools that allow us and amplify our natural gifts, our natural neurodivergent gifts. And so I find this very exciting, and I have no idea where it's going to go. I can't even anticipate it. I can't even estimate. I can't even imagine. Just from the short time that I've had my fingers in it. But I could just say it's incredibly fascinating in a very positive way. It's also one of these things that I'm going to pay attention to how I'm evolving, and what I'm learning, as a learning tool of laying things out in a manner. And what would be great is if I did it enough, and after using it for a certain period of time, would I naturally become more adept at I don't want to say minimizing or narrowing the creative things that I'm throwing on the table, all the bits and pieces I'm throwing on the table, but if it would happen at a faster rate because I don't feel like I'm fighting against myself when I do it. It's actually fun, but it can reach a point of like, I know this is taking a long time. And so, having a shortcut, that's what I did, is that I would naturally fall into using the habit of it as a shortcut of coming up with something in a particular structure. So I'm curious to see if it will fall into a structured thing at all.
So that would be a good thing, or that would be a bad thing when you use it as a shortcut?
Oh, well, I'm using it now as a shortcut. So, but I'm using it. I'm using it now. If take it away, This is what I'm talking about. So it's like if I use it for like, say, 3 to 6 months, and I'm like, man, this rocks. This saves me so much time because I can collect my thoughts in a more organized manner. I can herd them in. Talk about free range thinking. It's like I have one of those like border collies. It's like having a border collie that's going like, hey, whistling and, hey, over here. And then it's like, so I have them all in the pen, Whereas before they're totally free range, and it's hard to get and as soon as you get one and you're thinking on this, then you notice that some of them are wandering off over the hill, so it's like, maybe it's like that. I don't really know what the proper metaphor is at this point.
Yeah.
And so it'll be interesting. And this is why we have to have like a revisiting of the tools and getting feedback, because I'm really curious how other people are going to experience this kind of a thinking tool, a thinking and organizing tool, because I don't see it as creating the content. I really don't see it like that. I don't think I'm going to be using it. Now, I'm not saying that everybody should use it like me, but for me, I could tell you right away, it's not for the creating of things. Mine is more of an organizing, a tool for organizing my thoughts of what's already in my head. Yeah. What
totally interests me is, I have been, since I know how to type and since there were text adventures, I was playing like text adventures like Zork or Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy or role-playing games is a text adventure tool. And an 11-year-old boy somewhere sent the prompt to ChatGPT, okay, I want to let me play a text adventure in Harry Potter's Hogwarts, and I can only choose, or give me, with every step, give me 4 choices, A, B, C, and D, what I can do and where I can go, and I have 100 hit points. And ChatGPT generated this whole game. Where I played. I think it's different for everybody who puts in this prompt, and you can easily change like Harry Potter to Star Trek or Star Wars or to any other fiction or real scenario. But my question is, what would you rather use to communicate with something like that? I prefer, because that's the way I can think the clearest, I prefer to use it with typing and with the screen and seeing what I type and seeing what it spits out to me. And I'm always wondering, what would it be like if ChatGPT would be on voice command, like Siri or like Alexa? I think it wouldn't be that interesting to me, because I miss too much when it's when it's just voice communication. But would you rather use it by typing stuff in and like a chat, or would you rather talk to it, and then maybe after you talk to it for 15 minutes you say, okay, now print out the result, send it to me via email or via WhatsApp, and send me the result of our conversation, ChatGPT? What would be more interesting?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I would say typing, because when I'm I'm visual, so I wouldn't really be talking. I'm not auditory. So to have it answer back auditory, no. I mean, it would, in terms of having a discussion, but see, people are, but not a chat thing at this point. I'm guessing. I don't know.
I mean,
that's a good question.
I started since some I couldn't find several books that I have as an ebook. I couldn't find German audiobooks for. So 6 months ago or so, I bought an app that's called Voice Dream Reader on iOS. And what it does is you throw EPUB or Kindle ebooks at it, for example, and then you can choose different voices, or you can even buy voices for like €5 or so. And then the American voice that I use in it is called Sharon, by the way. And
can't get enough of me.
then it reads back to you, so you can generate your own audiobook from ebooks. You can even train it and say, okay, it always stumbles.
And what is this? What is this app?
It's called Voice Dream Reader.
Voice Dream Reader.
Voice Dream Reader. So
this sounds cool.
You still have quite a robotic voice, and of course it doesn't understand what it's reading. So for fiction.
That makes me want to play with it and say like outrageously inappropriate things and have it, but in a tone of voice or something.
The thing is, I read two fiction books with it. One was a young adult fantasy novel about neurodiverse kids. You can say it's Mr. Parnassus' Home of Extraordinary Children.
Yeah. I've heard of that. Yeah.
And I let it read that to me, and since I always speed up. I mean, when I listen to English audiobooks, I normally speed up to 1.5. Speed.
Okay.
And when I listen to German, I speed up to 2 or 2.5. So all this tonality and all this intonation falls down the wagon anyway. Because I turn up the speed so much. That can be a great actor who reads it. It's not going to reach my ears. Most of it doesn't reach my ears. So it's working quite well. I mean, there are 2 or 3 narrators that I really, really like, and that impersonate. That's the difference, no? That there are some actors who impersonate the characters from a fiction story. So that's something I really like, and where Voice Dream Reader cannot do anything for me, but all the other stuff and non-fiction is I don't know. I think I'm not going to buy any non-fiction books anymore as an audiobook, because the tool just reads it back to me as I like it.
That sounds really cool. This is an exciting time we're in, because I think a lot more people and a lot more, neurodivergents are creating the tools for themselves and each other and us all, and I think that the future is very exciting, because it's going to allow everybody the chance to create and to participate at a higher level. When I say higher level, I don't mean in a like good or bad judgment like that. I mean in a more enjoyable way. It's a richer way that I think that we're going to be able to participate and interact and create.
Yeah.
And take out the friction. That's what I mean is like a higher level way. It's like less friction. I guess that's the bottom line. Yeah. Because right now for us, it's like, and to be able to use it how we want to use it. Because so many tools, it's so restrictive. You use it, like you were saying about the Notion, and then the difference between Notion and Obsidian. It's like Obsidian, it's like you can make it what you want it to be. And that's an amazing thing. And there's a lot of power and freedom and, the agency to do with something what we want to do with it that works for us. You know, I think we're in exciting times right now. And I think that's almost like if there's a tool that's missing, you know, be aware of it, but kind of put it in your consciousness and go, okay, what's available out there? Just keep looking, and be open to something, because there's just, I mean, there's a lot of downsides to like so much new shit, but at the same time, I find it very exciting. Because what we need is just around the corner.
The thing that there's so much new shit, so much new tools, so much new toys all the time. I can understand that for some people it's totally overwhelming and totally annoying. I can understand that. For me, it's like fuel. It's like I don't want it any other way. I would like to have it even faster, and even because it's exciting, it's interesting, and I use everything I put out and everything I think about and everything I do. It's getting better through that, where other people might say I lose track, I don't know what to do anymore with that, it's much too much for me.
Tool overload. Is there such a thing? Is there such a thing?
Maybe.
But I do like knowing. Now I find it, but I'll let them go. You know, it's like knowing when to let go of something that doesn't work for you, and just like there's so many. I try different apps, and I'm just nope, and then I just delete the app. Bang, bang, bang. Yeah. I don't save them. They don't sit around on my phone. It's like no, if I can't use it, I'm not. No, you know. Yeah, I get rid of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's this. I have to find it. Is this rule by Douglas Adams that I hear his set of rules that describe reactions to technology is one. The first one is anything that is in the world when you are born is normal and ordinary, and it's just a natural part of the way the world works. Second, anything that's invented between when you are 15 and 35 is new and exciting and revolutionary, and you can probably get a career in it. And third, anything invented after you are 35 is against the natural order of things.
That's ridiculous. But I do know a lot of people who think like that.
Yeah, I mean, I do think like that in some ways. For example, the NFT thing, or the whole crypto mining. I mean, I could have started mining Bitcoins 10 years ago. People taught me and said, hey, you should do that. You should use your computer and mine Bitcoin and buy some Bitcoin for $10 a piece. And I said, nah, I pass on that. So in several degrees, I find myself in there as well, because time is limited and our attention is limited. But on the other side, I like to compare it to how reading evolved. I just read last week or the week before again why we are reading silently. Do you know the story? Why we are reading what led us to read silently?
I don't understand the question.
Okay.
You mean without reading out loud?
Yes, because until the I don't know which century, reading was only done by monks. And it was only reading out loud because there were no full stops, no commas, no, how is it called? The Satzzeichen, the
punctuation. Punctuation.
There was no punctuation. So you had to read out loud the text to hear what you're reading and to know what the text is saying because there was no punctuation. It was just a flow of letters. And to make sense of it, you had to read it or sing it out loud. And the invention of punctuation.
Or sing it.
Yeah, and there was
so I'm thinking of like going in and singing this proposal.
Yes.
What style do you want that in? Macbeth or
Gregorian
West Side
Choir?
Story?
Oh, West Side Story.
Gregorian Choir. Sorry, sidetrack.
But that's also a whole new technology that was invented by saying, okay, we just put punctuation in text, and so you can read it in your mind, and you don't have to say it out loud all the time. And that changed that changed the whole usage of text in the Western world.
Wow, that's really interesting. Thank you, Professor Alex. No, I like that. I really, really like that. And I like knowing shit like that. And not that what you're telling me is shit. Please don't take it that way.
No.
I love knowing stuff like that.
That's when I hear people talk about information overload, then it's like, yeah, people are talking about information overload like since the Library of Alexandria.
Of course they have.
But
it's not, well, wait a second. It is slower. Way. It was way slower. And since, it's been ramping up. And where we are now, it is just not possible. And it causes a lot of anxiety. And it just, it makes people frantic and it's
and it causes a lot of problems.
And so, yeah. And so we're at this point where we just can't absorb anymore. So how do we slow down and simplify it? This is the thing.
Or
it's not going to get any slower. It's only going to get faster.
Yeah, it's only going.
It's only going to be more.
The other comparison I read the other day, I think it was it Seth Godin who wrote it? It was like in the 1800s. If an American president was shot in the 1800s, it would have taken 3 weeks to get this news over to Europe.
Oh yeah.
And today it's like it's not 2 seconds; it's like 3 milliseconds. It's instantly.
Yeah, exactly.
You know everything if you want to. And that's something.
And it's a lot harder to hide your shady dealings, which this is a good side. There's a lot of upsides to it.
Yeah.
A lot of upsides to it. You can't. It's harder to be an asshole as a public figure. You can't do what you did in the past.
Yes.
And there's always people around. Everybody's got a cell phone. You got to be real careful if you're going to be in the public eye. It was hard watching. Again, the celebrities. They're I don't say particular kind of, but it's hard. It has been hard watching people that are not kids anymore. But the celebrities that were young teenagers that came up in with everything so exposed and cameras on the cell phones, because I can always say, my God, I'm so happy that I grew up without that, because the amount of stupid shit that would be on film, thank God that doesn't exist. And I really feel for the kids that went through that thing of, now kids are savvy. Now they know if they make the decision to do it, okay, it's a stupid decision. But the first wave of the technical the tech generation that came through, of the complete naivety of that, of like, oh my God, this is forever. Be careful. They were completely naive about it, and I just feel really bad, because there's, that's a hard road to learn
that's learning through a lot of pain and suffering.
Yeah. And so it's now they're more. Now schools are talking about them. Not as many as should, but now they're starting to put it in the curriculum.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good
whole thing. What is
thumb.
Fake news? How do you know?
For me, there's a good rule of thumb that I'm using, I would say, since 2008 or 2009, when I started giving the first social media workshops. And I remember people like totally shaking their heads and saying, no, you can't do that. You can't be serious about it, because I always say, okay, live your life. When you, at least if you are in public, but also when you are on a private party at your best friend's house, you should live like there are cameras on you, and you could be on the biggest billboard of your town or on the title page of the biggest newspaper. And don't do anything you don't want to have there. I mean, I do a lot of silly things and I do a lot of stupid things, but I'm aware of them. And I would be totally okay if like the whole country would know about this tomorrow. You have to be okay with that. Otherwise, that could be a really, really, really unpleasant awakening someday.
Yeah. And I have to say here, it's one thing for one sector of the population to have that. It's a whole nother thing for women and marginalized people to come up against that and to be shunned and shut out and shamed, because as everybody knows, it's that is not on a fair scale at all. We haven't reached that point yet. Now, but that, again, it's the evolution. Yeah. It's I'm guessing it's changing. It kind of sometimes feels like it's changing. We are not there yet. But the fact that everything is documented and live and recorded and captured, I think it's what's going to help move that needle. And that makes me happy. Yeah. Technology is helping that particular needle move in an evolution direction that it desperately needs to move. Yeah. Again, we're not there yet, and it's frustrating to watch it because now we're all really aware of it, of the the racism. The racism is the biggest thing, and it's like until that is dealt with, and nothing else can really evolve. We have to fix it. Again, it's not, and I don't know if it's going to be, quote unquote, fixed in my lifetime, but seeing the needle move, yes, hell yes. Yeah. And yeah. I mean, get off on these kinds of tangents in terms of all the inequities and the because we're getting off of our tool thing, but in terms of the tools that help all of us, it really helps people who are marginalized and not just neurodivergence. So I just wanted to put that out there. Yeah.
I'm just thinking of like something like ChatGPT as a tool that I really would like to hear your thoughts about it. I always come up with ideas, or that I always get ideas in my head with tools like ChatGPT, where I think, okay, how about a ChatGPT instance that serves through Facebook and Twitter and Reddit and wherever, and answers threads and answers postings in the commentary automatically when there's something racist or misogynist also coming up, and says because a lot of people see that, but they don't act on it because they are scared or they don't know really what to say.
Oh, good point.
And if there would be an instance, a bot like ChatGPT who just reminds people and just,
hey, knock that shit off. We don't like that here.
What you just said was really, really racist, or was really, really, really discriminating because of this point, and it's. I mean, it could really be transparent that it's a bot, because the people who said racist shit also know it doesn't make any sense now to argue with this bot because they will lose.
Do you know what? That's a great idea. You just laid something out, because it's there's so many people who are afraid to speak up, and if there was a bot in every room that was kind of like, oh, that's an interesting thing to put on the table, Alex. Huh? Because once it's out in the air, you know, like you said, they're not going to argue with it. A troll isn't going to argue, or somebody who's just angry or who has an axe to grind. They're not going to argue with it because they know it's a bot. So it's the fact that it's clearly when we say bots, it makes it sound like it's a spammy thing. But if we have an AI,
I mean, ChatGPT.
The nanny, the AI, the nanny.
It's like a nanny.
Nanny.
Don't argue with the nanny.
Nannies. Don't, because people wouldn't. It wouldn't, because what they want is an emotional. You know, they want to.
They are trolls. Yeah, they want to
inflame
provoke.
The emotion.
They want.
Yeah.
They want to provoke. Yeah. They want to infest or inflame discussions.
Yeah.
They want to lead discussions in a different way, and a lot of people who are leaning on the other side but don't want to argue because they have so much to do or to deal with in their life. They don't want to argue with those.
Right. It's exhausting. It's exhausting.
Yeah. And you can't exhaust the bot.
Yeah.
But the bot can exhaust.
And it's and it's not the responsibility of somebody, you know, of people of color or, you know, the gender or whatever, you name it, to educate the people who are wanting to distract and derail a conversation. Yeah. But it's just like, ugh, whose turn is it? Okay, it's your turn today. You know, you almost want to say that. It's like, ugh, you know, why is it?
I mean, I did this a long time.
I did chat nanny.
I did this really, really a long time, and it faded out. It faded out through the pandemic because then really idiotic people were posting everywhere, and it was just I realized I can't answer to all of those. My motivation is to inform the bystanders. My information, if somebody posts like, I don't know, we are all going to be chipped with a vaccination, whatever. My goal to post at least a link below that is not to start a discussion with the troll, but to leave something for the other 10, 20, 100 or 200 people around who are reading that, a sign that is not undisputed. But at some point it was that lot and it was that much that I give up, or I gave up, and it was like resonated. And so that would be a great job for a nanny.
Nanny. That's a. I'm gonna have to do an art piece on that. And maybe an NFT, haha.
Yeah.
And and it's like, oh, and now I'm going off because I could imagine if you're in a community and And you could give somebody, if somebody did really well in a particular day, or it's like, oh, you spoke up, and you can give them a chat nanny badge, you know?
I mean, the technology. We had a channel, an IRC, Internet Relay Chat channel, from 1998 or 1999 until 2005 or so. And back then, we had a bot in the channel that did different stuff. For example, we had a list of people who were admins in the channel, because sometimes there were like 60, 70 people in the channel, and sometimes people joined there who just came in there to stir things up and to just forgot the word. they had fun stirring things up, or make a ruckus and tease people. So the bot was able to give admin rights to several people so that they can kick them out, or you can say the bot, okay, kick this person out. But we also like programmed the bot, and it was not AI, it was like a robot. So a robot, you say, okay, take this box and put it from the left side on the right side, and that you are going to do all day. That's not AI, that's just a programmed machine. But it was programmed to react on certain words. So if somebody was talking about his cat, for example, then the bot would answer meow just in the chat, randomly, and things like that. So that had a kind of nanny function already, like more than 20 years back. I just remembered.
Cool. Well, I think we pretty much have covered our tool update for this one. I've got some nice things in here, and I think we can end on that note. And I'm curious, so the next one we'll do we could do an update about how we're using, and if we have comments about how people are using, any listeners, any of our 3 listeners.
Oh, yes.
and see what, and see where we are, and then add some new tools on it.
Oh yes, I'm really excited to get some feedback and what other people are using, or how they are using the tools we were talking about in a different way, for example. Open up
exactly
possibilities for us.
Or even tools that we haven't talked about that you would love to hear us talk about.
Yes.
And sounds like a plan.
And if you listened until this point, and some people who didn't look in the show notes, then you can reach us. You can reach Sharon through LinkedIn. We are Sharon Lee, and I put that in the show notes as well. And you can reach me, like really excitingly, Carmen does, who listened to one of our episodes. I think it was episode 8, and she wanted to be a guest on the podcast, and we both don't know her, so it's
and I'm talking to her in next week, I believe. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, so you can write. So you can reach me through mail at alex-carl.de. I put that in the show notes as well. And get in touch with us.
Yes, please do. And have a great week.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.